But before you crash out, watch this video. What is up, y'all? It's your girl Danielle, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe and join the tribe. We are just learning, glowing, and growing over here. And I am a self-love and mindfulness coach. I help Black women reclaim their peace and personal power through emotional mastery and mindfulness. And y'all, one thing that y'all do not know about me is I used to be a hothead. Yes, the woman that you see before you now is very much so refined, okay? I have a great deal of self-control now. My thoughts be a little crazy sometimes, but I have learned how to manage my emotions because at one point I would fly off the handle. Now, let me paint the picture for you, okay? My dad was a hothead, okay? And I mean, he was a violent person, okay? He was violent. I mean, aggressive, viper type tongue. Like he was abusive. So, you know, he was violent. He would throw stuff, he would hit, he would he was a violent person. He was a violent person. And so as I grew up, I experienced a lot of things in my childhood that made me very protective of myself. And I was never really taught how to communicate my feelings. I was never taught how to really manage my emotions. It was more so, I mean, I grew up in the 90s. So, you know, times were very different back then. A child stayed in a child's place, and we just didn't have the resources. You know, therapy was not really a big thing. We tried it, but, you know, when you are younger and you grow up in an unhealthy household, and you have the unhealthy people trying to tell you that you're the one who needs therapy, that's gonna make you mad, okay? Because they're angering you, right? They're doing things that are unhealthy to you and then expecting for you to just cope with it. Like, that's not how this works. And so I grew up breaking things. I grew up throwing things. I grew up, you know, putting holes in walls. Like, that was my thing. That was my thing. That was how I expressed my anger. And I'm realizing now I kind of held a lot of shame around that, even saying it out loud, but it was what I knew, right? And in all fairness, I was a child. I was raised in a very chaotic household. My parents fought, like it was a lot. I was, you know, assaulted, and there was a lot going on. Let's be clear. On the outside looking in, you'd have thought that we had it going on, and on the inside of our house, it was very, 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 very chaotic, okay? And so imagine as a kid, you grow up in chaos, right? And so what you see growing up, how you see people deal with conflict and how you see them deal with you and your emotions, the people who are supposed to teach you, right, are now gaslighting you, manipulating you, and they don't know what they're doing, right? They're just doing what was done to them, right? You grow up not knowing how to deal with life, how to express yourself, how to manage your emotions, right? And so I grew up lacking this skill of emotional mastery. I grew up not knowing how to manage my emotions. I grew up not knowing that I wasn't angry, but I was frustrated. I didn't know that I was embarrassed, not mad. Like, you know, there were other things that my anger was covering, right? And that I just didn't have words for. And so today I really wanted to talk about, before you crash out, ask yourself these 3 things, okay? And the first one is to ask yourself if your anger is covering something else, right? Because anger is a very easy emotion to feel. It is a primal feeling. It is easy to express anxiety, frustration, sadness, hurt, guilt through aggressive behavior. This can look like irritability, being snappy. Obviously it can be explosive. Like anger can look a lot of different ways and be something completely different, right? But anger it's easy for us to express anger, right? Because it shows a lack of control. And so it's important to ask yourself before you crash out, before you tell that person off, before you decide to cuss somebody out and cut somebody's tires. Please don't do that, okay? Please don't do that. Ask yourself, what am I actually feeling in this moment? Is it truly anger or is it something else? Because you have to identify what the actual emotion is in order to really begin to regulate it, right? Because if you're frustrated, then rightfully so, right? You may be able to communicate your frustration more if you realize that you're frustrated and not necessarily angry. Or you may be able to regulate your thoughts when it comes to feeling embarrassed or humiliated instead of in a way that's not anger, right? And so like I said, you want to identify and unpack those emotions that you're actually feeling. And if you're feeling anger, then rightfully so, baby, do what you got to do. But you have to regulate it somewhat, okay? Regulate it doesn't necessarily mean that you don't feel it anymore. You don't do anything. No. It means that you don't go overboard. You're not slashing someone's tires. You're not falling into destructive thinking. You're not falling into unhealthy patterns and making poor decisions based on that anger. That's what that means. Because sometimes, baby, some things need to be said, honey, okay? Some things just really need to be said. And sometimes you need to be the one to say it. And remember that, when you say the thing, it doesn't matter how other people feel about it. You honor yourself by saying the thing. Like I said, this does not mean cuss people out. This does not mean tell people off. All I'm saying is that determine how you're feeling and express that, right? Express that, whatever that looks like for you. The next thing is to ask yourself, especially if you are in conflict with somebody, what is my desired end result? What do I desire to happen once I am done communicating, right? Once this situation is over, what do I want to have happen? And the reason why this is important is because everything that you do has to have a purpose behind it, right? And if you want to hurt the person, I don't think you would want to hurt someone, but if that's your goal, then, your behavior will determine that, right? But if your goal is to resolve conflict, then you need to ask yourself, well, what's going to be helpful in this moment? Like, what do I need to do in order to regulate myself so that I'm able to express myself, I'm able to get my point across, but I still achieve the goal that I have? And also understand sometimes you're not going to achieve that goal because it takes two to tango. And some people just be tripping, okay? Some people just be tripping. And you're not responsible for how other people feel and act. You're just not. They are. So determine what your end result is. What do you want to have happen? And then once you decide what you want to have happen, ask yourself if what you are doing and what you are saying is going to get you that desired end result. Because again, everything in life to me is strategy, because I don't like doing nothing for no reason. Sometimes there's a time and a place for it, but if we're in conflict, baby, I'm trying to solve it. Okay, I'm trying to get to a compromise, especially if we're working together on something, or I need somebody to really get it through their thick skull. You know what I'm saying? I have to determine, what do I want? Do I want understanding? Do I want change? Do I want to leave this situation? Do I want this person to stop doing something? Do I want to resolve this conflict? Do I want to come to a conclusion? You just have to decide what it is that you want, and then make sure that everything else that you're doing is in alignment with that. Listen, y'all, I know it's easy to crash out. If only y'all knew the things that go through my mind on a regular basis. We are all met with choices, right? And as easy as it is for me to revert back to being a hothead, I realized that it would be destructive to the life that I'm trying to build. It's not just destructive to other people, but it's destructive to me. I don't like the way that I feel when I'm angry, but I also don't like the way I feel when I'm unheard, right? So, but there's a difference between I'm angry at you and I feel unheard. You get what I'm saying? There's a very big difference between I'm angry with you and I'm embarrassed, or I'm angry with you, but in reality, I'm hungry. So again, before you crash out, think. Put your thinking cap on and think. Is you crashing out going to get you your desired end result? And 9 times out of 10, baby, it's not. It's not. And it doesn't mean that the crash out is not valid. It doesn't mean to not crash out, right? It just, at what level are you going to crash out? Okay. At what level are you going to express yourself in a heightened state? Okay. And just know that it's okay to walk away from situations instead of crashing out, because sometimes the best thing that you can do for yourself is to not allow other people to get a rise out of you. Oh boy, a lot of the reasons why I got mad was because people did things, they would like throw rocks and hide their hand, and I don't like that. My baseline is aggression. And I have tapered it back quite significantly to assertiveness, okay? And even that still rubs people the wrong way, but I don't care. That's my self-control. And so when people are like petty or like nice, nasty, or they throw rocks and hide their hands, baby, so many things be going through my head. So many things be going through my head, because I'm like, I see your soul. I see your insecurities. I could really, really hurt you if I wanted to, without even cussing, without even saying a bad word. I could just sit here and look you in your eyes and tell you the truth about yourself and really hurt your feelings. But every day, I choose not to be that way, because I don't like that. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And so I make a choice not to crash out, right? Because hurting the other person does nothing for me. It may make me feel good for a second, but in all reality, I'm not going to like it long term. I'm not going to like it long term. It's not something that I'm going to be proud of. It's not going to be something that I want replaying in front of me when, I'm at the quote unquote pearly gates. It doesn't feel good. I want to build people up, not break people down. So I'd rather walk away. Now, there are also other times where I tell people, some things just need to be said, but I stick to the script. I stick to the situation at hand. I don't start throwing personal jabs, right? Because once we do that, baby, that's a whole nother story. Okay, I'm too far gone at that point. I'm just being honest. I'm too far gone at that point. So I think sometimes I come on social media and sometimes people, think that I'm trying to be like this, like expert. No, baby, I used to be a hothead, honey. Okay, I was good for cussing somebody out. I was good for throwing something. I was good for expressing my anger, but there was so much other stuff that was deep inside of me that I just didn't know how to express. And until you learn how to express it, until you learn how to truly resolve conflict and to identify your emotions and deal with what's going on inside of you, you're gonna continue to crash out unnecessarily, okay? And that just causes unnecessary stress, tension, worry, fear, anxiety, guilt, and baby, I don't got time for none of that. I want to live free, period. I love y'all. I hope that y'all enjoyed this video. Again, before you crash out, ask yourself, what am I truly feeling? What is my desired end result? And is what I'm doing helpful? And then, of course, ask yourself, is this even worth it? Is this worth it? Is this worth crashing out? Do I need to? I see people getting out of the car for road rage. It's never that serious. It's never that serious. And this is from somebody who, oh God, I can't believe I'm saying this. And this is from somebody who threw trash in somebody's car because they decided to follow me home and pull up next to me. Girl, I'm throwing trash in your car. Yes, it's not that serious. It's never that serious. I was very young when I did that, and she should not have followed me home, but it was never that serious. It was never that serious. So ask yourself, is it worth it? Is it worth a crash out? How am I going to feel afterwards? Do I really have the energy for this? Do I really need to do this? And start asking yourself some more questions before you start flying off the handle. Okay? All right, y'all. I love you. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. You know you want to. I'm going to be uploading videos every Monday and Friday, so y'all better be watching. Y'all better be watching because we are growing. We're all growing and learning together. I'm growing and learning every single time I do a video. And 9 times out of 10, what I'm doing a video on is something that I just recently learned. So I love y'all. Have a great day.
All in my phone, I got options, and I don't wanna tell you to drop it, but I don't wanna play your